Haere mai ki te kaunihero o ngā roto o Rotorua. Welcome to the Rotorua Lakes Council and our hui today on Wednesday the 27th of December. Before we get underway, I'd just like to invite Councillor Maxwell to open us up with the karakia, with a prayer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tuatahi ke te mahia, kia koutou, nau mai haere mai ki tēnei whare o te kaunihua. Sincere warm welcome to you all. And I hope you'll join me in our opening karakia. Tūtawa mai I runga, tūtawa mai I raro, tūtawa mai I roto, tūtawa mai I waho. Kia tau ai te Māori tū, te Māori ora, ki te katoa, haumi e, hui e, tai ki e. Kia ora koutou katoa.
Ngā mihi nui ki a koe, Councillor Maxwell, and the translation for those who are interested of that karakia is I summon from above, I summon from below, I summon from within, I summon from the surrounding environment, the universal vitality and energy to infuse and enrich all present, enriched, unified and blessed. Thank you very much, Councillor Maxwell. Just a reminder to everyone that this meeting is being live streamed, so please, if we could have all mobile phones on silent, and there will be a morning break at 11 a.m. Are there any apologies for today? I do have one from Councillor Kiriopa for early departure. There appear to be no others, so I don't think we'll call for a move and a seconder for that. That's fine. Any declarations of interest this morning? No. Any urgent items not on the agenda? There appear to be none, so we will move on to our first item. We'll take the confirmation of minutes and then go into public forum. May I please have a mover and a seconder for the minutes of the council meeting on the 23rd of October and also the 30th of October be confirmed as true and correct record. That's moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Kai Fong. Just checking if there are any corrections. Yes, Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Some action points from the 23rd of October. Page 11, I was supposed to be receiving some information about Titoki Place. Haven't received any of the items listed there. And also page 19 of the minutes from the 30th of October, I asked for a cost breakdown of the Let's Talk platform. Haven't received anything from that either.
Thank you. We'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
Is there no other corrections? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. And we will now begin our public forum. So the first group that we have here today, and we want to acknowledge the very significant community turnout today, is the Wākeri Valley Community Collective. And they will be speaking on the Tikanga Aroro Trust proposed application for the reintegration housing on Puaiti Road. Who would like to say it? Okay. Welcome. Please come forward. And just so you know, there is 5 minutes, but we will have a timer here just to assist you. And yeah, just make sure that the speaker is on green so that we can hear you loud and clear on the live stream as well.
Okay. Good morning, Your Worship the Mayor, Tony Tapsell and councillors. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Philip Hawken. I have with me on the front bench this morning, Brendan, are you coming with us? Come with me. Mr. Brendan Webby, Mrs. Victoria Chesby, and Mr. Nicholas Hawken. And in the gallery, a number of Wākeri Valley community supporters. Quite a number, good to see. I live on Puaiti Road, Wākeri Valley, where I have been farming for the past 50 years. This morning, I am addressing you with a letter on behalf of the Wākeri Valley community. This letter formally expresses our concerns regarding Tikanga Aroro Charitable Trust's, the Trust Resource Consent application for a proposed reintegration housing facility on Puaiti Road, Wākeri Valley. The purpose of this facility is to accommodate individuals who have been incarcerated or are deemed to be at a high risk of offending and may include men serving life sentences and preventative detention. The proposed site for the facility is one of the most isolated rural locations in the region. being situated almost in the middle of the area between Taupo, Tokoroa and Rotorua. The proposed activity is non-compliant with the rural zoning allocated in the district plan. This facility may be required in society. The placement of a facility in this located rural area presents significant and unacceptable risks to the safety and well-being for existing rural residents and will have ongoing adverse social effects for the Wākeri Valley community. There are inherent challenges associated with living rurally, including limited or reduced access to support services, infrastructure, power and phone connection, and emergency services. The nature of the proposed reintegration facility poses additional safety and security risks to communities in general, but when placed in an isolated rural zone such as the proposed location, the safety risk is significantly heightened. Wākeri Valley has been built by the community, the rural community for the rural community. Its community-built facilities reflect the commitment to supporting its residents. Services and facilities such as the hot pools, golf course, squash club, school, community hall, child care centre and play centre all provide significant positive contributions to the wider community. The nature of these facilities included in the rural zone is designed to ease the burden of the residents and to enhance the quality of rural life. The Trust proposal and application has already created undue stress for many, as it serves to undermine the balance and safety of rural life that our community has worked so hard to maintain. Rural residents should not bear the burden of risks associated with activities that are not aligned with the rural way of life. We firmly believe that preserving the rural character and viability of our community depends on maintaining the integrity of our rural zoning. This protects the livelihood of those families engaged in primary industries that contribute significantly to New Zealand's economy. The Trust proposal highlights the need for broader strategic planning by the Rotorua Lakes Council. We request the Council incorporates guidelines and policies that identifies the most suitable locations within our district to safely accommodate activities like proposed by the Trust. This proactive approach would ensure that future projects are located in areas of the Rotorua district that have better access to support services, infrastructure and emergency services, eliminating the undue and disproportionate strain on rural residents. Madam Chair, in summary, we strongly object to the Trust proposal using isolated rural zoned land in Wākeri Valley to house individuals who have been incarcerated or are deemed to be at a high risk of offending and may include men serving life sentences and preventative detention. We are concerned about the real risks of safety and security for the existing community. We urge Rotorua Lakes Council to reject the application. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for allocating me the time to present this letter on behalf of the Wākeri Valley community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip, and thank you to the Waikato community being able to hear this and have the letter tabled, which we will take as being valuable for us, but also obviously powerful for the community. So we thank everyone involved for taking the time to be here. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
It's run by Billy Fowler. It's not as bad as I know them in the tax and have to be ready for change. I've worked with council. Some of the environment.
Either location,
Yeah, well, that's what's
Well, thank you very much, everyone. And we now move to our next public forum speaker. We welcome Jared Adams, who will be talking about the public forum application process. We'll just close the doors behind so it's not too distracting for you.
Sweet. Good morning there, Tanya Tapsell, councillors, council staff and members of the public that are left. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I'm here before you as a concerned resident of Rotorua, deeply troubled by the lack of accessible and transparent public forums for our community to engage with council matters. Specifically today, I would like to address the Council's practice of requiring the public forum topics to be pre-approved and providing only 24 hours notice to those allowed to speak. Public forums are a cornerstone of democratic governance. They provide residents with the opportunity to voice their concerns, share ideas, and hold their elected representatives accountable. These forums are not just a courtesy, they are a fundamental right in a healthy democracy. Yet the current system severely restricts community participation by limiting public speaking to pre-approved topics and providing insufficient notice for those selected to participate. Let's consider what this means for the average person in Rotorua. The requirement for pre-approval discourages spontaneous or pressing topics from being raised, and the notice period of just 24 hours leaves little to no time for those approved to prepare or adjust their schedules. Many residents work in full-time jobs, have family responsibilities, or need time to craft meaningful contributions. How can they rearrange their lives on such short notice? How can they make their voices heard when the system itself seems designed to exclude them? Furthermore, the unwillingness of the councillors to engage with the participants during public forums is deeply disappointing. The lack of interaction undermines the entire purpose of a public forum, which should be a platform for open dialogue and mutual understanding. When councillors choose not to engage, it sends a message that the voices of residents are being heard out of obligation, not with genuine interest or an intent to act. Another concern is the Council's practice of live streaming meetings with disabled comments. This decision limits community engagement even further. If public forums and meetings are meant to be open to all, why are the residents unable to share their views in real time through the live stream platform? This lack of transparency raises questions about the Council's willingness to hear from its constituents. This situation highlights why accessible and open public forums are essential. When the community feels excluded from decision making or is unable to discuss their concerns directly with elected representatives, trust in the democratic process erodes. Residents are left feeling unheard and dismissed, which does nothing to foster collaboration or community engagement. I urge the Council to address these issues by making the following changes. 1, extend the notice period. Provide a minimum of 1 week's notice for public forums, allowing residents time to prepare and participate meaningfully. Number 2, remove the pre-approval requirement. Allow residents to raise any relevant concerns or topics at public forums, rather than limiting discussion to pre-approved subjects. 3, encourage councillor engagement. Councillors must actively listen, ask questions and engage with participants. Public forums should be a space for two-way dialogue, not one-sided presentations. Enabling comments on live streams. Create a space for residents to share their views in real time during live-streamed meetings, ensuring broader engagement and transparency. These changes are not just practical, they are essential for rebuilding trust between the council and the community. Democracy cannot thrive in a climate of exclusion and disengagement. It is only through openness, accessibility and genuine dialogue that we can create a Rotorua that reflects the aspirations and needs of its people. The heart of this issue is about respect. Respect for the community, for their time and their voices. As councillors, you were elected to serve all of Rotorua, not just those who can navigate the barriers currently in place. I ask you today, what kind of legacy do we want to leave for Rotorua? Will it be one of inclusion, collaboration and trust, or will it be one of frustration, division and missed opportunity? The choice is yours, the community is watching. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jared, and we appreciate your suggestions that we'll take on board. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. There are no public petitions or notices of motions or presentations, so we will move straight into our staff reports for the day. We're on page 22 of your agenda. And first up, we have the financial update. May I please have a mover and a seconder for financial update October 2024 be received. Moved by Councillor Wākeri, seconded by Councillor Kaifong. All those in favour to receive this report, please say aye. Aye. Yes, carried. Thank you. And we welcome David Jensen to overview this report and speak to a presentation.
Good morning, Your Worship and elected members. So this report covers Council's financial performance to the end of October. It's particularly important line on the sand, being the last month that Intercore was its own company before it came in-house, and also being the last month that Events and Venues was within the tent of Rotorua Lakes Council before it went to Rotorua NZ. So important line in the sand just to see a snapshot of Council's performance just before those transactions took place. So in line with previous months, our overall income is tracking behind the budget year to date, and that is driven again by the capital subsidies. A lot of that is due to the timing of coming into the earthworks season and achieving a number of those milestones to qualify for those capital subsidies. So we haven't spent the money on capital projects in order to receive the capital revenue to net that off. We will be monitoring the receipt of that capital revenue over the next few months as we progress through the meatier earthworks season through the capital program. Important to note there also that development contributions are 1.8 million behind the year-to-date budget, and we are watching that and talking to developers. But at this point, it is signalling that it is unlikely that we will achieve the full year budget for development contributions. Expenditures largely on track at the end of October. So at the end of October, we were showing $113,000 over budget overall, and that's on a base of 65 million, which is pretty reasonable. Most expense categories are tracking to budget with some very minor ups and downs, but largely on track. And capital expenditure being nearly $12 million behind the year-to-date budget. And I've got a slide in here detailing a little more on what that is made up of. Council's gross borrowings has not changed this financial year, so although in the annual plan we did forecast borrowings of about $60 million, so far this year we have not borrowed. This financial year. We are looking to issue some fresh borrowings as we get through that earthwork season and we start spending some money on capital projects and through the the seasonality of when that occurs. And we do hold $43 million in cash including that $26 million term deposit. It's showing a breakdown of the P&L of the profit and loss statement as we have in previous months. So we are showing overall a negative number. However, that is made up of the lower capital subsidies and lower development contributions. Council's actual operating position is in surplus. So within the P&L, Council's actual core operations of business are in surplus to the tune of around about $2 million. I won't dwell on the P&L, just to highlight a couple of things in here. Rates, you'll see, are nearly 1.9 million ahead of budget year to date. That is driven primarily by lower emissions than we had budgeted. So if you recall, last year we did have emissions around the lake levels in a number of Rotorua and a number of those other areas around the district. We have not issued the emissions to the degree we had last year. And also within that number, we have had a lot more residents around the Rotorua wastewater scheme electing to pay through a lump sum rather than over a 25-year period. And that's showing in there with rates ahead of budget year to date. Lastly, just on our capital project, as I mentioned, we were about $12 million behind our year-to-date budget. If we look at where that is occurring, a lot of it is so the community wellbeing aspects in there around the museum and timing of when that spend occurs. We're in the sewerage and sewage activities and delays in a number of the program there. And also within the stormwater activity, just the timing of when the earthworks are expected to happen within the IAF program. But I'm happy to take any questions you've got on either the report or the presentation.
Thank you very much, David. Question from Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, thank you, David, for your report. Starting off, I've got a few. Just on page 22 at the start of the agenda, is the EEC still requiring a generator?
At the end of October it was,
through you, Madam Chair, the team are currently putting the geothermal pipes to it, and there's, I think, targeting in the next month or two to have the geothermal reconnected to the Energy Event Centre.
Thank you. So the 205,000, that's hopefully going to be the end of it?
Yes, we're still currently incurring generator and diesel costs while those geothermal pipes are being connected.
Thank you. Page 24, if I may, Madam Mayor. The IAF stormwater projects, how much of the $5.4 million that Council is behind budget for capital subsidies and grants is due to IAF projects milestones not being met?
So the lion's share will be IAF. There's also some timing on the gap in our capital revenue is mainly by IAF and the timing of the museum project. So I guess when we set the budgets, we make an assumption of when that money will occur. We're not signalling that the money will not happen. We're just at the moment we're saying that at this present point in time it's still to be received.
Right, thank you. Just carrying on, if I may. So what projects are the ones that we are a bit behind on? I know we've done pretty close to Morey Street dams are being done, and the Linton Park dams are well underway. What else are we behind on?
There's a range of renewal programs. I'm just coming back to the other question as well, just to remind you around the IAF, we're still in that feasibility stage. And for us, with regards to how that contract is being managed with the DIA, we don't get the subsidy of that until the work actually starts. So we are therefore holding that IAF cost. With regards to other projects, obviously Tarawera is currently on pause, and so that is leading a delay. The museum is progressing well. And then it's just the bulk of the renewal program, which is where, as David said, we're now kicking into that season, and so what you will see around the district is a significant investment into our roading renewals, wastewater renewals, water renewals as we get into that season, and that construction season carries on from now to about April next year. So you'll see an uplift in that spend.
And I'll just get the Chief Executive to add a comment as well.
Thank you, Your Worship, and just to reinforce, this is a financial snapshot in time, and the opportunity, I guess, to look into specific projects and how they're tracking will be through the I&E committee, because that's where we're trying to bring the project-specific reporting and enable you to track it, including the spend, which you're seeing the cumulative effect of here in the financial snapshot.
Thank you for that. Just one last question, if I may, push my luck. When do we expect central government's answer on the variation request regarding those IAF? I understand it was November, so we are now almost December.
Can we give you an update at the next I&E meeting when we're going to report on those projects, so that we've got the right staff and the right comprehensive answer for you?
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions on the financials? No. Thank you very much, David. We will now move to our schedule of meetings that we need to set. May I please have a mover and a seconder that the scheduled meetings 1st of January 2025 to 31 October 2025 be received. That's moved from Councillor Waru, seconded by Councillor Wang. All those in favour to receive this, please say aye. Aye. And I just invite Greg to overview this report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good morning, councillors. I think I'll take the report as read. It is pretty straightforward, I think. But just to highlight that this is following the same frequency and outline that we've got for our meetings for this year, up until October or August next year when we head into the pre-election period. So, that's all I'll outline today. Thank you.
Thank you. And just noting that Council will open up again on the 6th of January, and our Council meetings, once staff have time to come back into the building and start formulating the reports, will begin at the start of February. But that is under the separate attachment in Stella, and I just ask if there are any questions before we move this. Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Your Worship. Morena. Thank you, Greg, for the report. Greg, could I just ask, so in our attachments, we have the schedule there down as draft. Yep, the resolution is for us to adopt it. So we're adopting a draft? Thanks.
Sorry, through you, Your Worship. No, so it's draft until you adopt it. So if you adopt it today, you'll be adopting it, and that'll become the final version.
Thank you. So could I ask, sorry, I'll just go out and come back in. Could I just ask about our, after the post-election period, if I could just borrow Councillor Walu's. So could I just ask, so the week and a half after the election, where we could have brand new council, brand new mayor, the whole shebang, there's then on the 29th to adopt the annual report. So a brand new council, possibly a new mayor, would they even, I don't even doubt if they'd even have a chance for an induction. Their inaugurals just the week before. Is that practical for us to then ask those people to then adopt an annual report they've had no part in? I'm happy forever to answer.
Yeah,
Thank you,
just ask Thomas to answer this.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, Councillor, that is very common for us and a whole group of councils that sit at the tail end of that audit cycle. That unfortunately we do ask the incoming council, just like we did this one and the previous ones and the previous one before, to adopt the annual report that relates to the previous triennium. So the only way around that is to all those councils that sit in that cycle to move forward, and I'm not sure that New Zealand has the resources at that time available to fit us all into a much smaller window to get them done.
Thank you. And sorry, just two other quick questions, if I could, around the audit and risk. So we only have the 3 meetings next year. Is the chair of that committee happy, and the deputy chair happy with that? Can I just confirm?
Through you, Your Worship, yes, I can confirm I've spoken to both of them and they've seen that schedule and they're comfortable with those 3 meetings reflecting the work program ahead.
Thank you, I'm happy with that. And could I ask finally then, so I believe that after the council was inaugurated, we have, is it 2 months to appoint a new Audit and Risk Committee? Under the Local Government Act?
We'll just have to double check that.
And I'm just wondering whether we need to also schedule a meeting to get that through. How would that work?
That would fall into the council meeting because it is requires the adoption from council.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is obviously my first term as a councillor. I heard that there was a convention that in the final month of this, or any council, that would be August, the tradition is, or the convention is, that we wouldn't really be conducting or pushing through any items of significance. I understand there was a departure of that convention in the previous term, and there was a whole bunch of controversial issues such as reserves and development contribution fee and the Tarawera reticulation scheme that were rammed through in the last council meetings in August. Is that, what are our intentions? What are we going to do next August?
We'll get the Chief Executive to respond, as the Chief Executive is the one who basically takes over the roles and responsibilities of us while we are in the business as usual election period, and I'll see if there's anything else I need to add.
Thank you, Worship, and through you. There will be some time when, in the new year, in the new calendar year, when we'll bring forward some of those guidelines and practices that we're preparing to follow through that election period. And that'll include what the agenda might look like in those last couple of meetings. We've moved in the direction of giving you more look ahead of what's coming. We've got the 5-quarter work program, so you'll have some visibility already of some of the things we're looking to deal with at that point in time. So leading up to election period should come as no surprise what will be dealt with in those last few council meetings of the year.
Thank you.
There appear to be no further questions, so I will ask for a mover and a seconder to adopt the schedule of meetings. It's moved by Councillor Wang, seconded by Councillor Brown. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. We now move into public excluded. We have one item to discuss, that's adoption of Museum Exhibition Steering Group, terms of reference, and the reason for confidentiality is because the information concerns people's privacy. May I please have a mover and a seconder to go into public excluded. That's moved by Councillor Waru, seconded by Councillor Barker. And I do just want to note that consideration has been given to public interest in these matters, and officers' advice is that the above reasons for confidentiality outweigh the public interest in these matters. So I'll put Councillor Bray.
Forgive me, Your Worship. Sorry, could I just ask, I take on board, and I have no problem with the resolution, but I'm struggling to actually see what part of the actual report meets the confidential. Could I just ask whoever's proposing that, could they just identify the actual portion without going into the detail? What's the actual portion of that that we feel should be confidential?
Sorry, it is noted in the report.
Yes, yeah, I get that, but what actual part of the report requires that?
I'll read it out and then hand over to the Chief Executive, but it's section 7.2a, the withholding of information is necessary to protect the privacy of natural persons, including that of deceased persons. So given we're talking about the steering group terms of reference, it also includes who may be on that group, but I'll hand over to the Chief Executive to provide further information.
Actually, Your Worship, that's exactly what I was going to say. So we might the discussion might include specific individuals, so on that basis, the advice is that it would be appropriate to deal with this in public excluded at this point.
So are we talking about proposing particular people?
It's potential that the discussion will go towards that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Lee?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm not at all comfortable with this going into confidential. We are supposed to conduct our business openly and transparently in accordance with Section 14 of the Local Government Act. All we're doing here is establishing a committee which will be conducting the business of council. And this looks to me like the bread and butter sort of stuff that we should be doing openly and publicly. If people are going to be co-opted onto this committee from the community, then they rightly ought to be making themselves available to public scrutiny, as we all do, all the time. And so I certainly think that this is a bit of a slap in the face for the Ombudsman's report last year. And
that is absolutely incorrect, Councillor Lee.
So
that is your personal opinion. And
so if
yes,
I'm allowed
the
to
people
finish.
who may end up on this, I'm sure, will be happy to face public scrutiny. However, we have not yet confirmed whether they are or not, hence the reason for the standing orders, section 7.2a, withholding of information is necessary to protect privacy.
So what's missing, according to the Ombudsman, again, from this report?
Councillor Lee, that's not relevant to this. Do you have a question regarding going into public excluded?
Yes.
What is your
And I'd
question,
appreciate not
Councillor
to be
Lee?
interrupted all the time so that we can get to it.
What is
So-
your question, Councillor Lee?
It follows on from Councillor O'Brien's question, and that is, you say here, consideration has been given to the public interest in this matter, and officers' advice is that the above reason for confidentiality outweighs the public interest in this matter. Why does it outweigh the public interest in this matter?
Through you, Your Worship, in the interest of being as clear with councillors up front as possible, we have not approached any potential committee members. And so if the discussion goes towards names of people, there will be people who haven't had an opportunity to discuss any of this with. In that scenario, my advice is that it's inappropriate to discuss their names by this committee in public without us having done the courtesy of speaking to those people. So that on that basis, my advice is that the privacy of people who might serve this committee and this council by acting on these advice groups might be compromised if we haven't had the opportunity to speak to them yet. So that's the basis of advice, that's the explanation. I'll leave it to you to make a determination of whether that is indeed the advice you'd like to follow or not.
Okay. Can I suggest that, consistent with the Ombudsman's
This is not
advice,
an opportunity for suggestions based on personal opinion, Councillor Lee. We have a staff recommendation. To me, as Chair, this is very clear reason why we go into confidential.
Point of
public
order.
will know. What is your point of order?
breach of standing orders?
There has been no breach of standing order,
You
Councillor
haven't heard
Lee.
what the breach is? Are you going to make a determination before hearing what the breach is?
You are making determinations based on your personal opinion that this should not go into confidential before we've had an opportunity to discuss. We will move on, Councillor Lee, and I ask that you be respectful of this discussion and also of staff recommendations.
Wow.
Can I please have we did have a mover and a second. Okay. So that has been moved and seconded. If you disagree with protecting people's privacy, then you are welcome to vote against. However, I will put that to the vote now. All those in favour, please say aye. Right. Any against?
Oh, good. Abstain, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to abstain or against? Okay, so that's abstained by Councillor Patterson, O'Brien and Kiriopa, and against by Councillor Lee. And do want to note for the public that when we do come to a decision, and we have had the opportunity to discuss with whomever we suggest should be on this, then we look forward to ensuring that the public knows who is on the steering group, and I'm sure that the relevant expertise and experience will be very self-explanatory on why they're there. So thank you very much. We'll give a moment for the live stream to turn off before we get into this discussion.